I think I got it.
Oh, yeah, just said it's being live streamed.
There we go. Hey.
Oh,
Facebook Live. There it goes. We're
I
live.
see. Yeah, I see. It says on. Look at us.
Look at us. We're getting old. How did that happen? That wasn't supposed to happen. All right,
I texted. This is so great. I texted my mom to say, "Hey, we're going to be on, live stream on Facebook doing this." She just texted back and said, "Okay, will it have a link? We're at Bob Evans."
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right, so let's see. We got.
By the way, I told her it was going to be starting now, so she's texting me now to let me know she's at Bob Evans.
Oh.
Ask me a question and say, "Oh, and we're at Bob Evans."
That's awesome. All right, so let's see what we got here. We're live streaming to Facebook. That's perfect.
Now, I can't see anything on my screen. Can you see how many people are watching? Or
I'm trying to see that myself right now. Normally I see that. I don't know if it's because we're live streaming. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the
maybe just nobody's watching.
No, I should have a panel, which is weird. There we go. We have attendees. We have about 18 in here so far, 20, they're filing in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Bullseye, our second episode.
So, Behind the Bullseye. That's our new thing.
Yeah, we can do a little BTS. It's our little chats, our discussions. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We do have exciting news, but we're going to chat a little bit, let the room fill up and let people get in here. But there is going to be a Q&A portion of this after we kind of have a little talk and announcements. So make sure that if you want to, say something live, your mic is ready and raise your hand if you want to ask a question during the Q&A period, and I will look for the hands raised and we can call on you and use your mic, or you could use the chat and just type it away. So we can put that in there. Hi, I'm Travis Keys, and I am joined by writer, director, producer, and OK dart player, Dan Meyer. What's up, Dan?
I'm just okay at all of those things.
Well, you're a pretty good poker player, but you're an OK dart player. I mean, if we had to weigh things, you're a pretty good poker player, but you're an OK dart player. You would agree? You would agree? How are things? How is Michigan City treating you?
It's good. It's good. We got a little snow on the ground, and it's like our 30th gray day in a row. There's not a lot of sun lately, but other than that, yeah.
Nice.
I haven't been getting out much anyway. I'm busy.
Yeah, well, certainly I know you're doing lots of production meetings and getting the film ready to go, and you're going to start filming pretty soon. Is that right?
2.5 months.
Yeah, you have a start date already in mind, right?
We do. April 12th.
April 12th. That's exciting. So I know, with Bulls, I want to discuss a little, before we get into the major announcement, while we let this room fill up, what was the kind of inception? I know Bulls was written quite a while ago. What was the original was there an inspiration for Bulls, or what was the inspiration to write Bulls, and what was the kind of, the spark to make this film?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this less, but I started out as an actor, and I did a movie called Swingers, or not Swingers. I did a movie called Locust, where I met Vince Vaughn, but it was right before Swingers come out. They'd already done it. It had sold to Miramax for like $5 million. It was like this huge deal, and I knew Jon Favreau from back in Chicago, who wrote it and also starred in it. And so I palled around with those guys a little bit, like when that movie was coming out, and went to all those places. And I just love that movie. I still love that movie. It's such a great sort of time capsule, and they're all fantastic and did a great job. I mean, it's obviously, look, Favreau is one of the most, prolific writer directors in the business now.
And what's what's so amazing about that film, it was such a small film that made such a big impression, and to this day, people don't even realize it. Even young kids quote it, and that a movie has that much influence and changes the culture that much that it becomes part of the culture, and the dialogue and the way people speak is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, how many, you're so money and Vegas, baby, Vegas. And yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah, it really became part of our culture.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, so I'm sure like a lot of young actors in LA at the time, I was like, well, let me try and write a movie for me and my friends. And because, with the exception of Paul Rudd, Paul had done like Clueless and I think Romeo and Juliet or something like that, but he wasn't, Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's too
And
bad it didn't work out for Paul.
yeah, such a sweet guy too.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, nobody had heard of the other friends, and so they're all big stars now too. But yeah, so I wrote Bulls. Bulls is very different now than it was then. In fact, uh, I'm at my mom's old apartment in Michigan City, and I was doing some cleaning up here, and I found the hard copy of the original draft of Bulls.
Oh my gosh.
In the closet. I must have given it to her at some point. It was wrapped up in like a supermarket plastic bag, and I was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "Holy cow! I can't believe!" And so I was like, "Well," and I got about 3 pages into it, and I was like, "No, I can't even read it."
Really? I was about to ask, like to read it just to see how drastically it's changed. Is it like a completely different movie entirely, or there's some things that at the root of it just held on?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what. I probably read a little bit more than 3 pages. I remember there was one line that I was like, "Oh, that's not a bad line. Maybe I'll put that back in." And then the rest of it, I was like, "But this is kind of unreasonable." It's just, yeah.
Well, it seems it's funny. I mean, it's taken so long to get to into production and stuff like that. But it seems like sometimes fate has a way of working out the way it should, and it brought you home to Michigan City, and I think it's going to bring this empathy and heart to it that it wouldn't have had if you had done it in Vegas or LA or New York or something like that.
Yeah, well, it was really set in New York, And the funny thing is that I think about it, even though it was set in New York, there was something that was still sort of small town vibe about it. Because the guys were just kind of their own sort of community, and the bar that they hung out, played darts and all that kind of stuff, and it was just it absolutely just feels like this is the way it was meant to be, and there's also too, like back then I was like, and I see this in movies now, and it's just not my style, but I was trying to write funny as opposed to letting the characters be funny. And so that's to me, that's a big difference, because it's like, oh, here's the writer trying to come up with something that they think is funny, whereas now I'm like, oh no, these are the characters doing their thing, and
It was funny. I was listening to John Lovitz on an interview, and he was saying, and this is so different for you because I kind of throw this to you because you wrote it, and you have to write it to be funny. And John Lovitz was saying one of the best advice he got is when you're acting it straight, and the character is oblivious to it being funny. So it's such a different mindset. So how do you put on these different hats when you're writing it and acting it and directing it? Like how do you wear those different hats?
Yeah, well, that's I totally agree. And there are some actors that are fantastic at just trying to being funny. But I think I think that's kind of, but when you see somebody, there's just, I think what it is you just play the truth of the situation, right? And you just sort of like you just like the writing's going to support it, and it's going to be funny. Like you don't have to try to make it funny. You just play the truth of the situation, and it's better that way than rather than. I always find it kind of, if somebody can't, if you're not Will Ferrell, that who's just like he can just go out to be funny, and you're just like, doesn't matter, like that guy's hilarious. But you see like actors trying to be funny. But the same thing with writers trying to be funny as opposed to coming through the truth of the situation and the characters. Right. It's very different for me. Again, that's just my taste. I prefer that. And so that's 100%. Just play the truth of the situation and trust that the script will support it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly funny. Everybody, you hear all these stories of different actors and method actors and this actors. And speaking of acting, I think we have an announcement to talk about. And you want to tell us about some big news that we have going on?
I
this
don't
is
know.
the
I mean,
moment. This is the moment. This is why I think why a lot of us may be signed on to this, other than just hearing us talk about the love of movies.
hang out and as
Right?
an antidote, to something other than football. Maybe people just want to see us talk. No, big announcement. Very exciting. Auditions. Auditions will be held for Bulls on February 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday, from 3 p.m. or from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. And yeah, that's
bring up a little info share here.
There we go.
Look at this. Look at this. So it's kind of exciting. I know you guys are doing the auditions on February 18th and 19th. And we have this wonderful little link that we're going to put up with instructions that will follow this on our website and other places, but certainly on Facebook, we get a lot of information and we'll be able to answer questions there should you have them. But on the 18th, 19th, you can go to this link and actually hit on the day and you can select the time to reserve to audition. And is there any notes that you have for the auditions or anything like, that you want to kind of tell people ahead of time? And we're going to talk about our little characters and little, some fun stuff like that. But anything about the day of that they should know?
Not really. I mean, I think they're set up in blocks, right? So people say like, oh, I'm going to be there from the 9 to 10 o'clock block. Mm-hmm. And so that's when they'll get the sides, which is what what the audition will be. And there will be somebody there that will ask them some questions and talk through them and be like, oh, I think you might be right for this part. You might be right for that part. And then you'll get those sides and have some time to prepare. And it's not going to be, not going to give you we're not going to have 4 pages of something where you'll be completely, it'll be very manageable for
we want you to memorize this 10-page monologue in 5 minutes and you're performing two.
Right. No scripts allowed in the room. And if you don't have it all memorized,
that's a joke.
So it'll be very conducive to giving your best performance, but we just can't get the script out to. It's impossible to send a script out to everybody.
Yeah. And also, we don't want you want there's some surprises we don't want people knowing about yet. There's some fun moments in that script that that we want to be. We want to live them together. Yeah. So since we're not going to dive too much into the characters, let's talk about because you wear so many different hats, and you and I've had these discussions of writing and empathy and characters, and the first film that you had done on Netflix, actually produced up on Netflix, Pottersville. What was it like creating characters for that, and how do you create characters, and what's the importance behind the characters, and how do you fall in love and create these characters?
So that came about. Pottersville came about because I read a short little article online that I think it was in Wyoming or Montana or one of these states sort of out west. I think it was one of that, and it was a guy had fashioned his own Bigfoot costume and was running around the town trying to create a Bigfoot sighting in his hometown. And he now this is a tragic part. He ended up getting hit by a car.
Oh, geez.
and was run over. But the last line of the article was what made me write Bulls, is that the last line was, authorities think alcohol may have been involved. And I was like, well, that's hilarious, because that had to be. Who else goes and I'm gonna make my own Bigfoot costume and run around at night trying to pretend to be Bigfoot, unless you probably had a couple. So that was the inspiration for it. And then I just thought about Mike Shannon is one of my oldest, dearest friends. Known him for 30 years. I met him at the first audition I ever had in my life was for a play that came down to he and I for the lead. He got it. I got another part of the play, but we've just been great friends ever since. And so as the more I delved into the movie and started thinking about the part for Mike, and I was like, certainly Mike, he's not going to get run over by a car in it. They had to come up with all the other kind of stuff to make a movie out of it. But I really started thinking about the character of Mike, and Mike is he's a very intense guy. He has a very intense face. He gets cast as the bad guy, like pretty much all the time. You know, he's played serial killers and General Zod, and you know, and but if you know Mike, he's just unbelievable. He can be he's very smart, very funny,
Yeah.
very generous, and so to me, I was like, well, that's Maynard. That's the main guy in the movie. He gets people think he's this monster that's running around out in the woods, and he pretends to be this monster, which is kind of what Mike does in his career. Is he pretends to be these bad guys, but underneath he's this really sweet, generous, caring guy. And so that was a way to really sort of approach it. For me, it's like it's kind of it really is Mike in a way, and showing the world a different side of Mike Shannon, the person that I know. So that's kind of how I kind of like those sort of layers and stuff like like, and things like Hank is well, let me digress here for a minute, just to let people know, because I was just looking at this today. There are about 30 speaking roles in the
I was going to ask you what was available for Bulls, and segue into that. So we're talking about Bulls and what's available for, and kind of talking about the characters in Bulls now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So getting into that. So because two of the characters that are available are Hank and Austin, that we'll be auditioning for here in Michigan City, and also we're in Chicago on Actors Access. And but there's about 20 roles that are available, and including the two leads, Hank and Austin. And and some other some bigger supporting roles, and then down to like or one line roles and stuff like that. But it crosses the whole gamut. But they're like I said, big roles, main characters that are available to audition for. So but like Hank, like Hank's struggle in the film is he's and it's a metaphor, but he's this super sweet guy, he's this lovely guy, and when it comes to darts, he can hit everything on the dartboard except for the bullseye. He can't, and it's all in his head that he doesn't feel sort of as if he's worthy or if he belongs or if he's but he can get he can everything else he can do pretty well, but that one thing he can't do. It's hitting the heart of it, and it sort of resonates throughout his life. And but through the course of the movie and getting this chance to play for the World Darts Championship and his relationship with his best friend Austin, and then the guy comes in and coaches them, and another relationship that he has outside of this, all of these things sort of come together, and he starts to find his way. And so that's sort of the main arc that we go through in the movie. So that that again, it's just those sort of different layers of like, and then the metaphors of how it plays out in the film.
Yeah. And one thing I've told you, we've been friends for years, is that what I appreciate most in your writing is the heart and empathy. And creating these characters, is it a mix of totally something you're making up your mind, or are they characters based in reality of people you've met? How do you come up with these characters and these scenarios for them?
I think it's a little bit of both. There's little touches of people that I know that are like, oh, this is kind of reminds me of so and so, or this is some of them are completely made up. I think some of the main characters are kind of like based on people I knew, friends that, when like I said, I was writing it, based on Swingers. That's John, he wrote this movie for him and his friends to do, So certainly the main characters, I had thought about friends, but then, the more peripheral characters were just, kind of made up characters, but yeah. Oh gosh, I was going to say something else. I can't remember right now.
That's all right. Knowing Bulls and having seen it in all its iterations, it's always been about love, friendship, and the underdog. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful film. And if what I love is that you're taking it to your hometown of Michigan, and really it's being filmed there. It's being based there. The characters, you're doing live auditions there. Michigan City, yes, of course. I know I abbreviate sometimes, and I don't mean to. Sorry, don't slap me. It's a big deal. I know. I'm gonna have to ingrain it in my head. And I told you already. You guys got the best wings. You beat out New York. I think they're the best wings I've ever had in Michigan City. Knuckleheads is ridiculous how good they are. I can't stop it. It sounds silly, but what I love is that you're actually auditioning real people, and some people that may have had lots of experience and some people that have had no experience. What kind of, like, if you had to like give someone a little, a one line or two line about coming in, then maybe they haven't had a lot of experience auditioning or anything like that. What at the heart advice would you give them to prepare and to come in to read for you?
It really goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is just sort of the truth of the situation. Just be yourself. That really is it. Come in, don't try to force it. Don't try to, be bigger than you are. Don't try, there isn't, you don't have anything to prove. It's really come in, be yourself, be relaxed as you can. I know I started out as an actor. I know there can be, it can cause you to have a little anxiety, but it's a very safe. I was an actor for a long time. I get it. I know it's a very safe environment. Like, we want you to do great. We want you to be awesome. And I worked for a casting director in Chicago too. And I will tell you, you want people to come in and blow you away. You want people to come in and give you the part, or get the part. I know my casting director, she said to Mike Shannon, when he would go into audition, almost every time he'd walk in the room and be like, well, this guy's not right for it. It's like we had somebody completely else in mind, somebody completely different. And then Mike would walk in and do the audition, and when he left, it'd be like, cast him,
Yeah.
So yeah, come in, be yourself, have fun with it, be as relaxed as you can. Know that we're on your side. We want you to do great, and that's it. And and again, it's a lot of things. I know a lot of people who audition, and there's only so many roles available. But there are people want to be, background artists or something if they can. We can't cast everybody, and it doesn't mean you gave a bad audition. It just sometimes it's just what you're looking for, Yeah. So, but yeah, we're excited to meet everybody
I think that's part of the most,
and start casting people from here.
And one of the most exciting things, and you said that is certainly when we did the reading at Zorn's, there were some lines in there that I read in the script that, in my head, they didn't work well. And when the people that were reading them read them, man, I was like, oh, it's beautiful. And yes, that those moments of someone taking what you wrote and just making it alive and giving their own little flair to it. It's a really beautiful moment when you see something like that.
Yeah. Hey, I know what I'm doing.
Office. Yeah, exactly. So right now, if anyone has any questions, if you want to get your mic active and ask question live, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, you can throw a message into the, oh, wow, there's right away a couple of questions there. So we're going to call on Brian first. I'm going to allow you to talk so you can ask a question, let alone you're not allowed to ask too many things that, maybe there's some things we can't answer or not. But Dan will let you know. He's like, if we can't, tell you about a certain thing, we'll let you know. Dan, Brian is about to ask a question.
Just as somebody who's been in the business about 4 years, will this be under any type of SAG agreement for those of us who have to work those types of agreements?
Yeah, we're working through the unions. I'm in the WGA, and we have some SAG actors that will be in the movie. So yeah, we will definitely be working through a SAG contract.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
We're going to go to, let's see, that was Brian. We're going to go to Bruce. Bruce, your mic is now active. What's your question? And you have to unmute your mic, as they say.
Gotcha. Novice on Zoom. So here you go.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Real good today. Smooth, but hope everyone is doing well. Also, quick question on the music and soundtrack. Have you slated any musicians or contracted anyone as of the soundtrack, or are you going to handle that in post-production?
Yeah, I think, at least the way we are, because we don't have a budget to have a bunch of music, I can't be like, oh, this scene is going to be, cut to that song, because we just don't have that. Music is probably going to come in later on. We were having people submit, I think it's we'll post the link for that, because there's an email that people can send music to, and we've been getting a bunch of submissions already from local musicians, bands, stuff like that. Original stuff, obviously, but that's the place to do it. And we'll post that. In fact, Royce, if you're listening, if you post that, that'd be great.
Yeah, and people always, our base hub where we'll always put information is our Facebook page, Bulls the Movie on Facebook. That's our group. So that is going to be a hub that'll let you know emails and casting stuff and links, and you can ask us questions and kind of really be. We also have an Instagram, and we're getting our website going. But always go to the hub for the Facebook page, because we do want to monitor that every single day, and we're looking for the questions and to field it and have a nice community to talk with you guys, because we're so excited about the community. And I think there's so much. It's such a large community, because it's not just about Bulls, as just a dart movie. It's about friendship and love and all these great things. And I don't think there's anything in this. I find it hard pressed for anybody not to fall in love somehow with this movie, because it just touches for a base for everybody. It really does. There's not enough pets in it, but that's the only thing.
I'd say this all the time, like Godfather has 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. That means 2% of the critics out there are like, nope, that's garbage. So you never know.
They're regretting it now. Yeah. All right, we're going to go to Kevin. You are now able to talk.
Hi, Travis. Hi, Dan.
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, any minimum requirements for the auditions, as well as extras or volunteers?
Well, what do you mean minimum requirements?
You said anybody can audition. Do you have to have acting experience? What are you?
The only thing right now is that we're just auditioning people 21 and older.
Okay.
That's because most of the movie takes place in bars and that, and there's so we're just auditioning people 21 and older right now. But eventually there will be information for people under 21, and it doesn't matter any age, any experience. We want people to just come out and give it a shot.
Yeah. And what Dan had already talked about is right now we're really talking about the 18th and 19th of February for the auditions, but we're going to put up lots of information for people that want to be background artists, that want to participate in production. And there's going to be some other roles and other ways to get involved with this movie. So please stay in touch with us, because there's lots of ways to get involved with us.
Thank you.
Wonderful. We're going to go to Molly. You are now able to talk.
Hi, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Great. My name's Molly, and I have a question. When we come to the auditions, do we need to bring photograph, like a picture of ourselves, or is that not necessary?
Necessary. If you have like a headshot and resume, bring it. If not, we'll take we're going to be videotaping the audition, so we'll get your information there, so you don't have to. If you don't have like a professional headshot and resume, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Any other questions that we have in the audience here? Oh, here's one. Here we go. Oh, there are a couple here. Okay, we're going to go to Becky. You are now unmuted. You there?
Hello?
Ask to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can. How you
Hey,
doing?
hi Dan, Becky Niokas. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I was wondering, for those that, have no experience in how filming works, how long does it take? Will a person be there for days, weeks, months? What does that look like?
You mean if somebody gets cast in the movie?
Yes.
It just depends on your part. It's gonna be 4 weeks of shooting. So, if somebody gets cast in one of the major roles, they're gonna be there the whole time, pretty much. And then it's all the way down to like somebody has one line and they'll be there for a half a day.
Okay.
So it just depends on the role you get cast in.
Okay. Sounds great.
Thanks, Becky. And we're going to Mary Beth.
Absolutely.
Hi,
Hello.
so excited about this happening here. But unfortunately, I'm out of town the 18th and 19th. Are you accepting any taped auditions?
Yep. Yes, we are. There's going to be information. There's an email you can email to, and then from there you'll get information that tells you about how to submit a self tape and when.
Oh, that's great.
That's in this link. That's
The link
or
we're
I'll just,
gonna, the link we're gonna put up will have all that information in it. And if you have any further questions or follow-up questions, you can go to the email or the Facebook page, and we'll be watching that to follow up on any questions that you may have.
Oh, that's great news. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going to Toby now. And Toby, if you want to talk and unmute your mic, you can ask a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we sure can, Toby. How you doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. I'm in the UK.
Oh, welcome.
I'm just watching cuts on the telly as it happens. The Masters final.
Fabulous.
Can these auditions be done via Zoom?
not via Zoom, but you can self-tape and then send it to us. We'll have a Dropbox or something like that it'll be sent to that. Then we'll gather all of them and watch them. But yeah, you can self-tape and send it in.
So Dan, is this something that you will give them sides, or do you want them to read something and submit it? What do you think on the self?
No. We're gonna send them side. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sides from the script and give them the same opportunity as people here.
Wonderful. So when you guys send an email saying you would like to self-tape, we'll send you the sides. That's the way it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
There's one other thing.
Yeah.
The 18th and 19th, I'm in a show on both of those days. Well, if I'm going to self-tape it and send it in, I suppose that doesn't matter then, does it?
No. It certainly doesn't. Not at all.
There we are. Stupid question, but there we are.
Fabulous.
All right.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great. Any other questions? Anyone that I didn't get here? Let's see. I'm going to take a look here. I'm going to lower everybody's hand just to make sure that, and if you have a question, you can raise it in just a second here to make sure that I've gotten that one. All right. So if anyone has a question, raise your hand on the little icon. You can raise a little hand if you have another question, or you can throw it in the chat. If not, we'll let you know that we're going to be posting up all this follow-up information on the Facebook page. And if you have any further follow-up questions or anything like that, you can check us out on the Facebook page or shoot us an email, which we will put up on the Facebook page as well. I know that we have a bullscasting@gmail.com set up, but I think there might be an info one. But for right now, there's bullscasting@gmail.com for right now. If you have any questions, and we'll be checking that one. And the links will go up following this later today. And Dan, any further questions you might have for this little behind the bullseye talk?
I'm just very excited to be doing this here in my hometown with family and friends. Very excited to have everybody come out to cast some people. Like I said, when we did that reading, there was, quite a few people that were from here that hadn't acted before, and we have professional actors coming from Chicago. And it was like I said, it was a pretty level playing field. Like everybody did a great job. So we're very excited to have everybody come out and make a little movie magic here in Michigan City.
So exciting. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and we look forward to those that are going to audition, those that are going to be film fans and follow us through the whole journey. Make sure we could be doing more of these behind the bullseye talks with some special guests and some stuff that we're doing, and keep you abreast of what's going on in the production of making this movie. And please spread the word and let us know if you have any questions. And we look forward to seeing you in the cinema. And you know what is it? Diddle for the middle. That's going to be the new word.
That's right.
That's going to be it. That's going to be it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful day. And we'll be talking to you soon. Dan, thank you so much. All right, guys. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you for the bullseye.